everybody, to Blissfully Aware, the show in which me and my friends discuss what's going on in fandom and nerd news in general. I am Bliss, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, JD. Hi, JD.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm having a good week, actually. I mean, I'm boiling to death in this weather, but, you take the wins.
Well, fortunately, we had like a couple 90-degree days up here in the northern wastes, and then we had a nice thunderstorm. Took it all back down into the 70s. So we are living the good life up here.
I'm afraid if it rained, it would just be boiling water at this point.
That would suck.
It's been so hot. I don't even want to let Styles outside. I can't. I burned my ass getting into my car because I have leather seats and I was wearing shorts and there was no, I tried doing the, ease down on it slow, but I literally burned my ass.
No.
It's rough down here.
That's awful. Yeah, it sounds rough.
But you take it with a smile.
Right, yeah. So yeah, what are we talking about today?
Well, I hear there was a little kerfuffle again involving some AO3 volunteers.
Oh yeah?
And I want to hear more about that.
Oh yeah.
I'm into the messy news this week. I need more of it.
We love some messy news.
At Blissfully Aware, we fully endorse the messy news.
We love some messy news. All right, I think I can hook you up with some of that messy news.
Help me, JD.
Yeah, right. I'll get you. I got you. All right, so as we know, the OTW announced who was running for their board, all of their elected positions, and we had this problem before where there was kind of a public outcry to one of the candidates, right? But this time it wasn't as drawn out. There wasn't as much blowback to the blowback, but it set off an interesting chain of events, and it's curious. I'm curious to know if any of this stuff is related. So, and I'm sure there are pieces of it that are. So the OTW's had some drama. I say some drama, but this has been kind of a constant with this board of directors. So hopefully we're at the end of that cycle. So we had a couple users on Tumblr and Twitter that raised the alarm regarding a political affiliation of one of the candidates for AO3's and the OTW's board. Her name was Audrey Richards. She was a volunteer for the archive. She was within good standing with the archive. She had been volunteering for the requisite number of hours. You have to volunteer for a year or something before you can run for board. So she had all the prerequisites down. She decided, oh, I'm going to run for board, and this isn't her first time running for an elected position, because it turned out that in 2022, Audrey had run for Congress in a district of her home state of Missouri. And I'm sure plenty of people know where this is going. She's running she's a candidate for the OTW board, a place that is overrun with LGBTQ plus content and creators and support. And she ran for Congress as a Republican.
Oh,
yeah, I know. It's hard. It's and it's really hard for me to wrap my mind around how she thought this was gonna go. Like and I know people who write for on AO3 who they write good stories. They vote Republican. I know people who do. And they're not bothered by any of the LGBTQ stuff. They don't have any strong opinions on anything like that, but
Mm-hmm.
they voted Republican. Do they really think that a bunch of gay people are gonna vote them into a position of power in their space? You know what I mean?
Right.
When your bio on Twitter says making room in the Republican Party for young women,
Ugh.
that's so yeah. like
Ugh.
like
I don't like it.
it's hard, it's hard to kind of wrap your mind around that. Like, how insulated was Audrey that she thought that this was gonna go well? Like, so naturally, it did not go well. Um,
It didn't?
no, oh my goodness, can you believe? Um, so,
I'm shocked.
so yeah, I know. Oh, like, how could this possibly go wrong? Like, man, like, we for sure she had it in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, poor Audrey had a whole bunch of of Twitter users being like, "Oh, not voting for Audrey," and everybody was like, "Oh, can't vote for Audrey. She's sus." Which, I could totally see, she posted something on Twitter that was like, "Congrats to the witch hunt," which is very Trumpian, but also kind of amusing because she didn't actually get canceled. And you can't get canceled in an election. You just lose. Like that's
Right?
not that's not a thing. Like you can't get canceled in an electoral process. Like you just lose. Like, and I don't understand, man, Republicans are all about the attacking the personal integrity of your opponent. Her personal integrity didn't even get attacked. They just found out that she was a Republican. Like, that's public information, and she's like, "Oh, witch hunt, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Okay, no." And I don't think she said anything about being canceled. That's my words, but she did say witch hunt, which has the same flavor. But oh man, did she really think it was gonna go well?
I want to have that kind of moxie.
Yeah. It's stunning to me that anybody thought that was going to be a great idea.
Just bless her heart.
Bless her heart. Yep. So, we talk about that we're pretty anti-censorship. I'm like a free speech absolutist, which, my conservative uncle is like, "That's a conservative ideal," and I'm just like, not really anymore. You have a lot of Republicans out there banning books, so I really don't think you can make that argument. So, and let's say it is, because Audrey seemed to think so. So maybe she's a Romney Republican. He's out there marching in LGBTQ spaces. He's out there doing pride parades and shit. But he's also retiring. He doesn't have to be a piece of shit for the Republican National Committee anymore. So maybe she's a Romney Republican. Maybe she's like a back in the day Republican who's like, "Yes, free speech, blah blah blah." But we see how that happens. Elon Musk said he was a free speech absolutist. Yeah. Tell me all about it. Tell me all about how he's a free speech absolutist. He's going to say that he loves free speech and that he loves anti-censorship, and then he's going to sue nonprofit organizations that track hate speech on his website.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That doesn't sound like free speech absolutism to me. Like, you have to be able to allow everything. everything that is legal.
You can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, like, and it's shocking to me because she posted on Twitter, Audrey posted on Twitter that, she was all about free speech. But she's also she has ties to other organizations that provide support for acts like the Kids Online Safety Act, which could, in its current form, make near impossible restrictions to online spaces and using children as a convenient mask for censorship. I mean, you got to think about when you're running for any kind of election, you have to think about what all of your connections are. Like, what do you have on your resume that's gonna harm you or help you or whatever. Like, you have to know that somebody's gonna find that out. If I ran for the AO3's board, somebody out there is gonna be like, wait a second, that's that bitch who wrote that Holocaust Omegaverse story. And that's exactly how they would word it. They wouldn't word it in any way that like made it palatable. It would just be like, oh no, it's that Holocaust pornography girl.
It's your legacy, JD.
You know what? That's what. But it would come back to bite me. It's a great story. I'm sorry. I really love it. I wrote it. I'm biased, but also like it's a great story. It would be like you know, oh, Stephen King's a bad person because he wrote that one book that was found in a school shooter's locker one time. Oh, we're not going to vote for Stephen King because he wrote a book that a school shooter liked. Oh, we're not going to vote for JD because she wrote porn that was in a setting that we didn't like. But at least I know.
At least you're self-aware.
I know that it's a thing, and I know that if I ran for AO3's board under my real ass freaking name, like that somebody's gonna call my boss and say, "Hey, like now that we know who she is in real life, like now we can call her boss and tell him what story she wrote. And now we can not vote for her. Like, we can make her lose this election, and we can call her boss and tell him like what she wrote on the internet. You know what? Do it because he's read it." Yeah. Let that one sink in. My boss has read it. He's a 60-something-year-old man. Totally normal cis dude, married with kids.
Well, you know how old men enjoy their war stories.
It's true though. Yeah, like I hand him this gay Omegaverse story, and I'm like, you have to read this. And he's like, why? And I'm like, because one day someone's gonna find out who I am. They're gonna make me lose the AO3 election. Yeah.
My spot on the board.
Right, yeah. So yeah, Aubrey was real shocked.
Yeah, I'm sure she would have been.
Yeah. She canceled herself. Like, there was no cancellation going on. She withdrew her application for candidacy, and she resigned from the OTW organization.
Now, did she do it in a, calm and collected way, or did she do it in a way accusing people of, like you said, a witch hunt and wild harassment claims?
Oh, you know how she did it. And it wasn't even just her. She's accusing people of harassment, which not just because I personally didn't see any harassment doesn't mean that there wasn't any. Because she did have to run under her own name. So naturally, like, there could have been some harassment going on in places where we couldn't see it, where it wasn't on social media. All I was able to find when I searched like her name and the kerfuffle and everything. Everything that I saw was just a, hey, heads up, she ran as a Republican. You know, like, hey, maybe don't vote for Audrey. She ran as a Republican, you know, and Republican ideology is not exactly what we're all about on, AO3. So it might be a bad idea to have a Republican on the board. That was all I saw. Now, granted, she could have had some harassment happen to her. We don't have any actual evidence of this. She did not provide any. Now, also granted, if there were nasty direct messages that she was sent, it's very possible that she did the same thing that I did when I got my first horrible messages. Was I immediately deleted them. I got rid of them. I was like, no, 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 I'm not addressing this. Like, I wanted to believe that I was capable of completely and entirely ignoring it and not letting it become a thing. So I got rid of them. So maybe that's what she did. You kind of gotta look at this. She is a person.
Sure.
She's very human. Humans are extremely complex. Were there people out there calling for blood? Maybe. I didn't see any. She didn't provide any. She locked her account, which was a good idea. No one's blaming her for that. But she canceled herself. She was going to lose the election anyway. She made very low effort responses to the OTW board interview questions that people could read. She obviously, I don't think her heart was really in it. She wasn't like super invested in the OTW. She wasn't some kind of, there were people speculating, oh my gosh, what if she's like some kind of Republican plant? No, Republicans are trying to take over your country on a massive scale. Our former president was just like charged with conspiracy charges for trying to overturn an election. The Republicans are not worried about your fan fiction. Like, it's not on their radar. So
they're burning actual books.
Yeah, like they're burning real books. Like they're not interested in your fan fiction. They're especially not interested in being on the board for your fan fiction site. They're more likely to pass laws that would make your fan fiction site either unusable or completely banned as a whole. They're not interested in cleansing it. They're interested in literally burning the internet to the ground. Like it's not a systematic, genocide of your work. It's a complete and utter annihilation. Like that's what they would prefer. So she's not some Republican plant who is, on some crazy weird crusade to get on the board of the OTW. She literally volunteered for a year. They've got bigger fish to fry, believe me. But Audrey's resignation was a tactical move so that she would get more attention than she would have if she had not said anything at all. She flounced. She called it a witch hunt. And it wasn't just her. The OTW sent out a notice talking about harassment against Audrey and their candidates in general. They did an elections committee statement on harassment. They would like to condemn in the strongest terms the recent harassment campaign aimed at one of our candidates. It's not a harassment campaign. I'm sorry, but pointing out someone's political affiliations and making voters aware of who they are voting for based on publicly available ballot information that is true, it is factual, this is not misinformation, is not a harassment campaign.
No, it's the makings of a fair and balanced election. You're voting off of actual information.
If you had like every political commercial that's like Donald Trump tried to overturn the election, he did. We literally have DOJ charges. We had a whole January 6th committee that had discoveries that very clearly showed that he did this. And you're trying to tell me that if somebody makes a political commercial saying Donald Trump did this, that's a harassment campaign? No, that is definitely not a harassment campaign. That's just telling the truth. Like, I don't understand. Like, let's be real. If somebody is like, "Oh, JD wrote a Holocaust or Megaverse story," I'm sorry, I really do have to I have to commit to that. You know what? You just gotta own it because yeah, you're kind of misrepresenting it, but also like, are you wrong?
No, I mean, I don't want to call her a coward. I don't, because that's verging on harassment. But there's something about owning your truth.
Right? Yeah. You know, and the way that the OTW is like the intense harassment of Audrey. And where was it? Like what am I just blocked by all the people who were like super harassing Audrey?
I didn't see it.
I can't find it. Like I can't find it. No one's linked to it. No one's like there's no I can't find it. And we've been provided no evidence of this. But for some reason, the OTW is like, there's intense harassment campaigns happening. And I'm like, what? And then it didn't matter anyway, because she was just like, peace, I'm outie. I'm not, I'm not actually into this, I guess. Like, oh, the witch hunt.
I'm taking my toys and going home.
Yeah, like she's the one, she's picking up her ball and she's leaving, she's going home. And so she could have saw it through. She could have saw it through. And we actually could have had maybe an election because it turns out that like the day after this, the entire OTW board resigned. And like, man, my nose is a little bit to the ground on this one. Like these two events happening in such close proximity to each other was very interesting.
It's a little sussy.
It is. It smells bad. It smells interesting. It smells bad. This isn't the first time that the entire OTW board has had a complete and utter overhaul. Like this isn't the first time that I think it was back in 2015. Yeah, back in 2015, the whole OTW board was kind of just they just pieced out and they were replaced. And this time, all of the candidates who were left after Audrey withdrew, there was enough of them to fill all the spaces on the board uncontested. And nobody had any problems with their answers to the interview questions. They seemed pretty legit. Audrey was really the only one that anybody had any issues with. Now, the former OTW board, the current / former OTW board, had a whole bunch of drama. There were accusations flying all over the place, but that's neither here nor there anymore since, gosh, they pieced out. So, and you had some issues with this board. We'll see how the next board handles it. There's been stuff here and there, but you don't have to worry about Audrey, I guess, since she canceled herself.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not like she's gonna show up again. The audacity of her showing up again. I want it to happen. I want her to show back up again and be like, what about this time?
Right? Yeah. Like, oh, have you guys gotten more sympathetic to Republicans now? No, probably not.
Did you maybe forget who I am?
Right. The internet sometimes does that, though. The internet sometimes just does that. They just forget who you are. Like, but yeah, I mean, her running under the Republican ticket in her home state. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that she implicitly supports every single horrible thing her party does. And I've written about this on my Substack, but you have to actually think about, like, did she actually want to win an election in her home state? Because if she did want to actually win, she can't run as a Democrat. So, and there's a reason that she lost her bid for Congress. Either her heart wasn't in that either, or she didn't ball hard enough for the Republicans. Obviously, she wasn't reactionary enough. Maybe she wasn't as anti-woke as they liked. Maybe she wanted to actually get shit done, like, God forbid.
Mm-hmm.
And this may be true because she originally ran as an independent and then ran as a Republican. So who knows what her actual views are, because independents are all over the place. So Audrey is obviously a complex person. She is a whole human being. Like, she's not entirely her political affiliation. None of us are.
No.
I'm pretty sure there's a whole bunch of leftists who see me saying, yes, I'm a free speech absolutist, and they go, no, we must censor this. And I'm just like, are you really a leftist? Like, it's all based on who you want to get to shut up.
And it's frustrating.
Yeah, there's always somebody out there who's like, I'm anti-censorship, and then they go, oh, but not like that.
Yep.
I know we have if it doesn't get edited out, we've lost some we've lost some people who were, who were like, well, my line was Holocaust Omegaverse.
Oh, JD is that person?
It's not what you think. It's not what you think. It's also interesting to me that the OTW never came to the defense of the prior candidate who faced this kind of backlash. I remember her name was Tiffany. She was Chinese. A lot of people did not know she was Chinese at first. And so a lot of the stuff they said was not based in bias against Chinese people. But, and that's a huge but, Tiffany faced way more visible harassment. And the OTW never said anything about it. Even when people found out that she was Chinese and they were saying racist stuff about her, the OTW never came out with a statement about it. And they did apologize for that. They did say, we regret that, we didn't do this before. But, like, why did you do it now? What was the thing about Audrey that made you do it now? Because this is inconsistent. Either don't do it at all for anyone, or you should have been doing it to begin with. And specifically speaking out for Audrey instead of Tiffany was an interesting choice.
It is. I will say, devil's advocate, maybe they learned something from Tiffany and executed it this time with what was going on with Audrey.
I feel like they could have executed it at any time. Like, why did they need to be reminded of it? Like, did they think that it was never going to happen again or something? Like, I feel like you don't have to address that as it's happening. You know what I mean? Like, you could say, hey, remember when everybody was being horribly racist about Tiffany? Yeah, that was bad. And maybe don't do that, like, in the future. Like, but, well, I mean, let's look at all the OTW statements are like, well, that's bad, maybe don't do that. Like, like, they're written in, like, legalese almost. So they're written in PR manager. But I feel like they could have addressed that at any time, and they did not. So I just thought it was a really interesting kind of inconsistency with the OTWs kind of coming out in defense of their candidates. Like, why this candidate and not the other one? Like, obviously they can't turn back time.
Sure.
They can't go back in time. But they had all of this time. They had it's been a year. They had an entire year to address harassment against candidates, and no one thought to do that. Now, granted, there was a lot of stuff going on. They had a lot of stuff going on in the past year. However, it would have been nice
Yeah, it's
Maybe
definitely
that's
a
just me. I
capital
don't know.
C choice.
Yeah, like it was. If you're gonna react to reactionary outbursts, you should probably remain consistent in your stuff, because if you didn't react at all to this quote unquote harassment campaign against Audrey, at least that would have been consistent with your behavior in the past. And nobody would have been shocked by it, because nobody would have thought that it was an option that you were capable of doing. It was a choice that
Hmm.
you were capable of making. And now that they know that you're willing to make that choice, they're going to wonder why you didn't do that before.
Sure.
So yeah, as someone who has responded horribly to harassment campaigns, I really don't have any leg to stand on this one. I'm speaking from some very vague, very unrelated experience. So I don't actually have any professional, opinions on this. This is all just me.
I will say, good for her for locking her account and not tweeting through it. Like, that was
Kudos for that.
thought out. That was a calculated move. And well done. Good to you. I tip my
Yeah,
hat to
kudos
you.
for that.
Not everybody does.
Yeah, kudos for that. Tweeting through it is always a bad idea. Now granted, she wants to be a politician, so she's probably got access to people who are like, girl, do not tweet through it. Although Republicans kind of just do whatever they want. But
yeah.
she's not a Republican who has won any elections, so she doesn't have that power yet. So but it is, I mentioned this in the Substack. It's common enough to see, Trump flags flying with all caps, fuck your feelings. She didn't do that. She didn't like go all crazy on her Twitter page. Yes, she made the witch hunt, comments, and she probably did make a couple more comments before she locked, but she locked pretty early, and I think she's still locked. So, kudos to you, madam.
Yeah,
Um,
my hat is off.
but yeah, yeah, as I said on the Substack, you might want to just write off your bid for the OTW board the same way folks with a DUI can write off the whole idea of a weekend in Canada. It's going to stick with you that you ran for Congress in the Republican ticket. It's going to stick with you for the rest of your life. I'm sorry. You can't go into Canada with a DUI, and you probably, aren't going to get in to the OTW board after having run for Congress on the Republican ticket anytime after Reagan.
Yeah.
Or before, for that matter. Like, I'm sorry, but it's tainted. It's tainted now. Old school conservatism doesn't exist anymore.
It's just not what it used to be.
Yeah. You know what? You know that phrase, like, they don't make them how they used to? Yeah, Republicans.
Well, I appreciate a good little messy drama. Although
it's so nice and
it
messy.
could have been messier, let's be real, and I'm a little grateful that it wasn't. AO3,
Totally.
The board has been known to draw controversy, is how I want to say that.
Okay, that's very polite. Well, fortunately, we don't have to worry about this.
That's
board.
true. They're all gonzo.
Peace.
Here's to the new board. Hopefully y'all do better.
Yes. We're looking forward to all of the endeavors of the new board. Hopefully, maybe they'll listen to what's her face, who runs Dreamwidth, because she's got some good ideas.
Yeah.
Because I read her one Twitter thread that was talking about AO3 and what their systems of moderation are, and I thought she had some pretty good ideas, and that's one of the reasons why I think Dreamwidth is a pretty good alternative to a lot of stuff. Although I am on Blue Sky,
as am I
now. I really am enjoying it.
Yeah.
I you know what? I'm collecting a whole bunch of friends.
I'm finding my people
so-
there. I'm happy with it. I have jumped to a new ship.
Yeah.
But I am still watching X burn down. That's so unnatural.
Oh
I hate
God.
saying it. It's Twitter.
Ew.
Until the day it dies,
it
it will
looks like
be
a porn
Twitter.
site. It's so bad. It looks like a porn site. It's so
Every
bad.
time I get a notification from it, I'm like, oh, naughty.
Right? Oh God, it's so terrible. And like, man, I haven't been on it in like 4 days. It's, you know what? I've saved a lot of time. My phone keeps telling me your screen time has been down like 71%. I'm like, I wonder why. But I am finding my people there. There are lots of artists over there already. So if you haven't gotten an invite for Blue Sky, reach out to your friends, get on Blue Sky. It's not perfect. There's no DMs. We're still working on it. I'm sure there's, but you know what I learned? You cannot have a slur, like a racial slur, as your, uh, as your handle.
Hmm.
Yeah. So like, and you can modify, you can have it moderate a whole bunch of neat things for you automatically, one of which is hate speech imagery. So if it scans an image and it sees hate speech imagery, it will hide that for you. So that's really interesting, and I thought that was a really cool way of having a kind of like free speech dealio, but also making it possible to wholesale protect people who don't want to be upset by like news stories about Nazis and shit.
Sure. That's clever. Good for you,
Yeah.
Blue Sky.
Right? So yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we talked about the thing, JD.
What's your happy?
Well, I went out and saw Luna, and we did the Barbenheimer double feature. We dressed up. It was fantastic. I enjoyed both movies. It was a good time. I had a great weekend.
Nice.
I got to meet the bunnies.
Oh my God, you got to meet the bunnies. I'm extra jealous. Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah. Monster Truck Hilda let me pet her.
How is Luna?
Luna's good.
Oh, yeah. I think I've texted Luna, but, I mean, Luna's not on X, and, you know, I haven't been on X. Does Luna need a Blue Sky invite?
You know, maybe. That might be a good place.
I think I still have one. Yeah. Cause I need my Luna fix.
Right? Everybody needs a good Luna fix.
Yeah. I also saw the Barbie movie.
Is that your happy this week?
Yeah, that's gonna be my happy this week. I was gonna go with one of my men in my man harem, but my friend, my coworker actually, my friend slash coworker was like, no, this is something you do with your girls. So we got a whole bunch of girls together and we dressed up and we went to the Barbie movie.
Aww. I loved it. It was such a good movie.
I adored it. I just had such a good time.
And I'm loving how much it pissed off Ben Shapiro. Like, speaking of Republicans.
Oh my God. He has tweeted about that movie. He has talked about that movie more than people who liked that movie talk about that movie.
Yeah, that man and his stupid videos, he's gone full YouTuber brain. Like,
he has.
At least
God.
He used to attempt to be professional. Now he's I don't know, man. He reminds me of like a Logan Paul.
Oh no. Oh. Okay, but I need him to go into boxing so I can see him get hit in the face.
Oh, wouldn't that be delicious? That would be my happy every week. What's your happy this week, Bliss? Well, I rewatched Ben Shapiro getting punched in the face.
Always a good time.
Ugh, bless. Well, then I think that'll do it for us this week. If you'd like to find us online, you can currently find us on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. That was the other one. at Blissfullyshow. If you're watching us on YouTube, hi, hello. Give us a like, a comment, a subscribe. The algorithm loves us if you love us. And otherwise, hit us up if you have anything you want us to cover. And we will see y'all again next time. Bye!
Bye!
Conservatism aside, being a YouTuber must melt your brain.